This is the story about how I got possessed in New Orleans. if you
Sud is not wrong about New Orleans and the spookiness. She's not wrong, and I just experienced some weirdo stuff. So
Going to it because I didn't realize it's going to be so cold because it's just not supposed to be this cold, right? So it just so happened to be so cold. They were even telling us that
You better be aware, baby. It's like vortex is down now. Yo, let me tell you my nutty ass, scary ass story about the first time I visited New Orleans.
y'all was not lying when you told me to drive through New Orleans and don't stop.
This is the story about how I got possessed in New Orleans. If you're new here, I promised my followers once I hit 100K, I would tell one of two stories. The first story being how I got possessed in New Orleans. The second story being how I got hypnotized and saw Michael Jackson. Y'all voted on the first story, so that's the story I will be telling, but I will be telling the second story too because my God, it is hilarious. But here we go. Okay, so boom, let's get right into it. I went to New Orleans in 2021 with my siblings, my son, and my parents around their anniversary time. This was my first time in New Orleans. I was very excited, but we did not realize that we were going during my parents' anniversary, so they left us a lot of the times. So me and my siblings had to figure out some things to do so that we could have a good time. One of the things we decided to do was a ghost tour, the haunted tours. If you don't know, New Orleans is notoriously haunted. But that don't freak me and my siblings out because I don't know, we're freaky spiritual weirdos. So I don't know. We were intrigued. So we decided to book a ghost tour. So we're taking the tour and it's us and like maybe 8 to 10 other people on our specific group. And we're going down each house, each road or whatever. And there's a story with each little setting. And the tour guide is giving us the story about why this place is haunted, some of the things that people have seen, some of the things that have happened over the years, all that good stuff. It was a really cool like history lesson. Like, oh, this is fun until all right, so then we get to Marie Laveau's house. If you don't know Marie Laveau. So, if you have ever seen American Horror Story Coven, you know Marie Laveau was a character that was based off of a real slave master. That lady was like very, very torturous to her slaves. Go ahead and Google it. I don't have time to give you the history lesson, baby. But once we got to her house, the tour guide starts telling us, this is the infamous, da 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 da. As soon as we got in front of her house, I started to feel sick. That's not abnormal for me because I am a sickly bitch, okay? I got a sensitive stomach, so it really went over my head. I started feeling sick, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. We did just eat. So we keep walking, and then we get to the side of the house. When we get to the side of the house, he is telling us a story about one of the young slaves that Laveau was torturing or whatever. She apparently committed suicide by jumping out the side of the window. I wish I was making this next part up. It was at the very moment that he said she jumped out of the window. Da, 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 da. I looked up at the window. As soon as I looked up at the window, I dropped. I literally fell on the floor. Not because something pushed me, but it literally was just like I almost lost consciousness, y'all, and I just dropped, right? And this next part is kind of freaky. My sister comes up to me and she's basically trying to tell me to get the hell up because I just embarrassed everybody and I kind of dropped. And she's like, Jamila, get up. Are you okay? Apparently, I told her. I do not remember saying this, y'all. On everything I love, I will tell y'all the truth. I do not remember saying this. She said, I looked at her and I was just like, I'm bleeding everywhere. Get this blood off of me. Get all this blood off of me. I wasn't bleeding. Super, super freaky. I don't really remember saying that at all. I don't remember seeing blood. I don't remember telling her I was bleeding. And she was just like, get the fuck up. And then so I got up and I just had this weird feeling over me. Like you could just feel this energy over me. I can't explain it. But before we had gotten to that window, like earlier, right before my stomach was starting to hurt, the tour guide said a lot of the times when we toured this specific house, we have had several instances of people passing out, having stomach aches, vomiting, and things like that. And so I just always thought it was very weird. Ugh. I vividly remember looking up to the window and almost like just losing my, and it's not because I was just like grossed out or the story was too much for me. this may be weird to hear, but there's not much you can tell me that'll just make me like nauseous or like weak at my knees. I can hear anything. I'm very morbid. So like I said, I'm very interested in stuff like that. So it's not because I was just so like sad that I dropped to my knees in like anger and despair. I truly believe, I wouldn't say I was possessed. Maybe that was a little, maybe I was dragging it a little bit, but there was definitely a spirit that came over me. And it was something that is very hard to describe. And I don't know, I think it's pretty funny.
Y'all was not lying when you told me to drive through New Orleans and don't stop. Bro, I got to New Orleans thinking I was finna get a hotel. And let me tell you how God works. See, what happened to me in that other hotel, I like to book my hotels. But for some reason, I just didn't book it. Like, it just didn't get booked. Okay? Got to New Orleans, and it's giving witchcraft. It's giving witches and warlocks. It's giving dirty. It's just giving, like, you know? And I'm going to insert some videos, too, that I took. But I'm driving through, and I real loud seeing this lady with a sheet on top of her head, dancing in front of this little, like, cart or whatever. And I'm like, now she's spending quality time with the demons. Bro, I got to get out of here. I am not stopping to collect $200. No, but serious, like, she was really doing some demonic stuff. Like, I'm no kidding. So I'm driving, right? It's dirty. It's dirty. I'm like, yo, I didn't know how spoiled I was in North Carolina. This is dirty. But anyways, I'm seeing people, they walking, you know what I'm saying, and smiling. What is you smiling for? It ain't nothing to be happy down here. Like, what? Y'all really chained up in the spirits, and you just smiling like something is. Anyway, so yeah, I drove through Baton Rouge, thought, and I was going to stop there as well, giving ghetto, as the people on TikTok say. So I'm like, I'm still driving. It was like literally, I've been probably driving for like maybe 6 or 7 hours now. Like, I was going to stop at that 5-hour mark, but I couldn't stop until I felt, God tell me to stop. And I finally got to a city where I could stop to. But I'm finna insert these videos. My hotel was literally around here. And you think I'm finna stop in this rich city? I'm gonna keep driving till the Holy Spirit tell me to stop. Because there's no way at all if you think I'm finna sit here and be around this demonic mess. No. That is not cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'm finna head on to Texas, boy. I'm finna head on to Texas. Bye, New Orleans. Bye.
Hey y'all, welcome back. Happy Creepy Sunday, Scary Sunday, whatever it is that you call it. But this is episode 3, and today we are sharing stories from one of my favorite places, New Orleans. So I've actually only been there one time, but I love that place. So let me tell you, I love the environment, the culture, the food, the crawfish, everything about New Orleans I love, right? But I'm going to share with you some of the locals' scary stories that, things that people have experienced while visiting in New Orleans.
Let me get y'all story time. So when I was like 15 or whatever, I used to hang with these girls. We used to do hood race shit, steal people. I'm not going to talk about it. If you from New Orleans, bitch, you know what the hell goes down when you're 15, 14, 13 and bored in the streets. So we used to hang with these boys, and I always was attractive. But fuck, I liked it one of the girls, but they didn't know that because the boys who we hang with, they liked in my booty. Like, you know how boys be, they see a big booty, skinny girl, they go crazy. So the girls got jealous that the boys was liking on me instead of them, because the goal was they wanted to fuck with the boys, and I was just duh. Like, I was always that friend that was just there. So they goes to tell these boys that I'm messing with their ops. And these girls pick me up like a regular night, like we about to go have fun or whatever. They picked my ass up, brought me on a back street. These bitches jumped my ass, bitch. When I tell you jump me, I try to get my brass knuckles out my bag because the bitch never lagging. And I couldn't even get my brass knuckles. The The bitches jumped me. They bucked the boys up, had the boys thinking I was the beef. The boys holding guns to my head and shit. I'm fighting back because I'm not about to, bitch, I'm not scared of none of y'all. And it was so weird because I really thought they was my friends. So I'm like, the whole time we fighting, I'm like, I really thought y'all was my friends. My problem is I can't see the difference between good and bad, because if I knew these bitches was jealous of me and had that fucking animosity towards me, I would never got in the car. Then the crazy thing is, the whole time we in the car, they playing beat a hole, stomp a hole, fuck around and jump a hole. Like y'all know about Dino by the way. Bitch, whole time I'm singing a song with them, like beat a hole, stomp a hole, fuck around and jump the hole. Bitch, whole time I'm that hole. Bitch, I was that hole. I got my ass jumped, bitch. And they try to stomp the hole. And then got the nerve to record it, but I was beating their ass. Bitch, that was too funny. Like, every time they jumped me, bitch, I was fighting all of them, because I'm so used to getting jumped. I barely have fights one-on-one. Like, barely, bitch. Like, that shit just crazy. Like, then they came playing on my roof, girl. Like, bitches are crazy. Bitch, living in New Orleans and beefing, bitch, it's serious, bitch. It's serious. Bitch, it don't matter who you beefing with, because when they get bored, they about to come find your ass, bitch, when they bored. I didn't even know what, bitch, it was crazy. It was so fucking crazy. Like, I got jumped, like, by 5 people with guns to my head. And I could have died. But I didn't. I still fought there. Got me fucked up. Never stand down. Real nip.
Let's talk about Marie Laveau, the voodoo queen of New Orleans. Y'all see what I did there? Now, if you're from New Orleans, if you've watched American Horror Story, or if you just know your history, you would know exactly who this black queen was. But if you don't, I'm here to enlighten you. She was many things. A dedicated practitioner of voodoo, a healer, an herbalist, an entrepreneur, a prominent female religious leader and activist, and she also did root work and would conjure Native American and African spiritualism, as well as Louisiana voodoo and traditional Roman Catholicism. She was Catholic. And she also owned a beauty salon. Now, if you watched American Horror Story, the Coven season, Angela Bassett played her, and she did an excellent job. You would see how she basically like owned the salon on the show, basically as like her cover-up job, but really she was much more than just a hairstylist, y'all. But she took on many wealthy clients, and I felt like that's really how she got like her word out there too, in her clientele, by, you know, people coming into her hair salon. And even though people already knew her, but she would get many wealthy clients to come to her hair salon. And there are still descendants of Marie Laveau living today. And they're extremely proud of their heritage, and they educate and enlighten and still teach to this day. But people would literally travel from all over. I'm talking about wealthy people would travel all over for the help of Marie Laveau. They would come to her for fertility issues. Back then, you can't just, well, you could go to a doctor, but their technology, they weren't that advanced. They would literally come to her if they needed help with fertility reasons, with financial reasons, if they just need some advice. I mean, who don't want advice from the voodoo queen? They would come to her for family affairs, for her to grant them wishes. Anything that you could possibly desire, you could come to her, pay her, and your wish will be granted. And she's buried in a cemetery in St. Louis, which is extremely popular. Like I said, people from all over come to visit her grave. They leave offerings, they leave her all type of flowers, and they ask for wishes. It's a lot of stuff that people do, but it is a tourist attraction. And she also has different little like shops and knickknack shops in New Orleans that people come to try to, you know, pay respect, and they just find her extremely interesting. And it states that she was born in 1801, but like some people said that they believe that she was born in like the late 1700s. Now, some may say the woman in this picture is her daughter, is her, but rumor has it no one has an exact picture of what Marie looks like.
This is the story about how I got possessed in New Orleans. If you
Sue is not wrong about New Orleans and the spookiness. She's not wrong, and I just experienced some weirdo stuff. So listen here. So I travel for work, and recently I've had to go to New Orleans like twice. Never had any bad experiences in New Orleans. It's been quite a party city for me. A lot of blackout nights, so I don't really think too much of it. But the past few times, things have happened
that have been a little unexplainable. So the first situation, it was back in February. It was at the Hyatt Regency. I was there for a work event. Pretty nice hotel. It doesn't get like super old or anything. And it's not necessarily in the French Quarters. So didn't think anything of it. One of the nights I go to sleep, I'm waking up about 2 a.m. by something that sounds like, hold please. It sounds like, this is my example of someone turning a page. So I don't know if y'all are getting, but either way, what's that noise? So I heard it for a minute, but I'm like, maybe it's something outside, but then I keep hearing it. So at this point, I'm up. I'm like, what's up? What's good? And it doesn't happen again. Like the noise doesn't ever continue. So I'm up for like an hour because I'm like, ghost, it's a ghost. It's a ghost. And I can't do anything about it but go back to sleep. So that was the first situation. The second one most recently happened. I stayed at the Omni Royal Orleans or something like that. It's the Omni. And I was there for another work trip. Now this one, it was giving 1920s. Like, I don't even know if that's the right era, but it was giving spooky Halloween town. And as soon as I walked in this thing, I'm like, I'm going to have an experience. Like the halls are very old. It just gives like old Victorian, I don't know. It gives like very much so someone's living in this house. So the first night, again, around 2 a.m., I hear something that sounds like this. If y'all hear that, hopefully y'all do. But it's like nails or a hand is going like this on a wall, on a door, on something. Again, what is it that you want from me? Like, what is it that you want? So I wake up and I don't hear the noise again. Who's out there? Like, is anybody out there? It's giving Titanic. What is it? What do you want? How can I help you? So I later on, after listening to her story, looked up this hotel. Now, it says this particular hotel is known for paranormal activity, and guests have seen a maid walking the hallways. Guests have been woken up by a maid or a guest tucking in their linens in the bed, standing right beside them. Like, excuse me? So you're telling me I was in a true haunted house or haunted hotel and I didn't even know it? Like, I don't play with goblins, ghouls, ghosts, anything that I can walk through. I just don't play with it. So tell me if y'all have had any experiences in New Orleans or at the specific hotel where it gave you the ick or gave you the heebie-jeebies. I would like to know.
I think the universe is out to get me. I'm in New Orleans, right? I'm having a great time. I'm a fan of the Vampire Diaries and the originals, so I know there's a lot of locations in New Orleans where they filmed the originals. So I'm going to these locations and I go to a voodoo shop, right? Now, as someone from the continent of Africa, where voodoo is everywhere, I don't mess with those things, right? I just wanted to see what they have. I'm looking around. There's a lot of people that are just buying potions and voodoo dolls and stuff. I don't think they know. They think it's for play. It's really not for play. Anyway, I leave the voodoo shop because I felt weird in there. Just like the sounds, the smell, just the overall feeling. I didn't feel comfortable. I go out, loving my life. The next day, tell me why, I'm sitting in Jackson Square and there's this guy. Now nobody's walking on the grass, right? Everybody's walking on the brick part. There's this guy that comes and he's busy walking on the grass barefoot, right? But he's like walking around and around and I'm like, he's a weirdo. Anyway, cool. I look at my peripheral vision. He's walking towards me. I'm like, is this weirdo gonna come talk to me? He comes to me and I'm wearing my headphones. So I stop the music. I'm like, hello? He's like, hi, can I speak to you for a second? I'm like, okay. He sits down. He's asking me, how are you? What? Then he's like, are you in the waiting room? Now I'm like, he's clearly on drugs. So I'm like,
no, I'm not. He's like, yes, you are. I'm like, okay. He says to me, yeah, they're waiting for you. I'm like, who? He's like, he, she, they, whatever the higher being is, they're waiting for you. Your answers are coming. Sir, what are you saying? Right? So he's busy telling me about his trip, and he's busy telling me about everything else. And then I'm like, I would like to continue listening to my music if you don't mind. And then he's like, oh, that's okay. He gets up, goes another round around Jackson Square, leaves, never see him again. So why is it the day after I go to a voodoo shop, this man comes and tells me that my answers are coming? I'm in the waiting room for the higher power. What? First of all, what am I in the waiting room for? Death? Or maybe it's like my spiritual awakening. I don't know. Because here's the thing. There's a fine line between people that are on drugs and people that have their spiritual awakening. You know, they know what's going on in the universe and stuff. So I don't know whether this man just predicted stuff or he's on drugs. I don't know.
History books. Come here, let me stretch y'all out right fast, because this New Orleans hood history on one of the most popular haunted houses in New Orleans, the Buckner Mansion. Now, the Buckner Mansion was built by Henry S. Buckner. They call him a cotton kingpin. You know what that means. And still to this day, it's said to be haunted by his housekeeper, Josephine, who died in the house. The Buckner Mansion is over 20,000 square feet, and it's only that big because Henry Buckner wanted to compete with his own boy who had built a house in Natchez, Mississippi. In 1923, a dude named George Soleil moved his business school into the Buckner Mansion, and it stayed there until 1983. The Buckner Mansion probably always been haunted, but it didn't get popular until after American Horror Story started filming their show in there. The Buckner Mansion is located in the Garden District, so tourists is always there. Plus, you can rent it out for $20,000, and even if I had it, come on.
Yeah, we got the Casket Girls, also known as the Vampires, over there on Chartres and Ursuline. So in 1727, the King of France sent over about 6 white girls, pale, bad skin, bloodshot red eyes, right? Sent them over there to come over there downtown to New Orleans. So upon arrival, the Casket Girls was looked down upon, rightfully so. Blisters all over their skin, bloodshot red eyes. You can tell they had all type of diseases, just dirty. It looked as though they couldn't stand to be underneath the sun, you hear me? These girls eventually went into prostitution and sex work because of the mistreatment in their marriages. Now, at the time, the only people that would take these girls was the Ursuline nuns. So because of their mistreatment and how nobody down there in the city was really messing with them like that, the King of France ordered them to come home. Now, when he ordered them to come home, the Ursuline nuns was the ones that housed them until they was able to go home. So these nuns eventually took them up to a 3rd floor, which was nailed shut, and all the windows was closed off where no sunlight could come through the windows. So they told them that they could be on the 3rd floor. They put them up there on the 3rd floor, put their luggage on the 3rd floor, and left. After about a few moments, maybe a few hours then passed, they go check on the 3rd floor. The girls was gone. Now when they come back and they see the girls gone, they check the luggage and nothing was in there. None of their clothes, none of the stuff that they had that was in there, everything was gone. After finding this out, the nuns went and bolted the 3rd floor shut. So it was even blessed by the Pope himself that nobody can go on the 3rd floor, you heard me? Now, if you still want to go over there and see the church, it's over there on Chartres and Ursuline. You can go ahead over there if you want now, but it's up to you.
Would you guys like to hear a story when I was in New Orleans a few years ago? I'm gonna make this quick because I got a Pilates class in 10 minutes. So my ex-wife and I decided to take a trip to New Orleans just to go on a vacation. And keeping in mind, I've never been to New Orleans until that one time. So we booked a hotel at the DoubleTree there. And when we got there, we checked into our hotel room. When I tell you guys, when we got to our hotel room and as soon as we opened that door, my ex-wife and I started feeling this heavy feeling as soon as we stepped through the door. Another thing I want to add, I'm very sensitive to energy, but my ex-wife, she was not very sensitive to energy like that. Like she could go somewhere and be like, I don't feel anything, unless she was just suppressing it or something. But the energy was so heavy in that room, you guys. I told my ex-wife, I was like, look, we can go to, a whole nother hotel if you want to. And she was just like, no, it's okay. It's fine. Let's just, it looks really nice. Let's just settle in. So since she wanted to stay, I was like, y'all, I could not take that shit. Like the energy, I'm shaking now talking about it. The energy was so thick, you can literally cut the shit with a knife. So I wasn't taking no chances. I prayed over the walls. I recited the book of Psalms 23. I literally channeled my inner ancestors, like, when it came to that room, because I did not play. And the funny thing about it was, once I was doing my little prayer work, touching every wall in that room, touching every wall, reciting, my ex-wife was like, I feel a little bit better now, right? So after all of that, we decided to stay. So later that night, y'all, I had to take a deep breath because, shit's about to get real, right? So later that night when we went to bed, I was actually in a state at that moment where I was like between worlds. I believe they call it lucid dreaming. So I was laying in my bed that night and I turned over and looked at one of the corners of the room, and y'all, I saw like an emaciated looking man or demon or whatever the hell it was, with gray skin, no clothes on, with eyes as red as fire. And the crazy part about it was that in this dream state, I was able to sit up in my bed that night. And when I did, I looked at that thing. I just sat there and just looked at it and stared at it. But the crazy thing about this whole experience was that that entity in the corner of that room did not move. As a matter of fact, that thing was looking at me like it was afraid of me. When I tell you that thing was sitting in the corner of that room like this, I am dead ass serious, y'all. I swear I saw that thing and he was looking like that. He didn't come close to me or whatever it was. It didn't come close to me or nothing. So when my ex-wife and I woke up that next morning, the room felt lighter. The room felt very light. As a matter of fact, when we went out and did our little festivities, in the French Quarter in New Orleans, we had a good time. We had a blast. And we actually slept peacefully the other 2 nights that we stayed in that room. I don't know what kind of protection my ancestors or my mother have over me, but I will say this. My mother does prayer work like it ain't nothing. Like, she is a prayer warrior. And my mother also told me that my grandfather used to practice, if you know what I mean. And her mother, my grandmother, she told me that her prayers were so strong that they probably literally could raise the dead. But when I tell you guys that these spirits in New Orleans are real, that was my first time going. And I heard all kinds of stuff about New Orleans, but that was a personal experience for me. Please leave in the comments of like these similar experiences that you guys had, because I want to hear, because I've always wanted to tell this story, but I kept it in the back of my head because I didn't think nobody was going to believe me. People probably still don't believe me, but it's real. It's real, y'all.
You better be aware, baby. It's like Vortex is down now. Y'all, let me tell you my nutty ass, scary ass story about the first time I visited New Orleans. Now, a little bit of context. Naturally, I'm a witchy black girl. I'm a spiritual black girl. I come from the Afro-Caribbean. I come from hoodoo, right? I come from people who have been doing this work for a very, 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 very long time in some significant capacities. Now, when I went to New Orleans, I wasn't fully, completely tapped in on other things I needed to be tapped in on. I was still kind of new. Tarot cards were my big entry point, and I had just started figuring out that like spiritual baths and things like that, mechanisms like that were even a thing. So I was working at a place with some people who were okay, but spiritually just didn't seem on for me. And I had a friend who worked there before me and gave me her job. Now, I should say, the people that I worked with really did not fuck with this girl who gave me her job. They thought she was like from hell, truly. And she and I had bonded, we were like sisters. And so I was like, maybe everyone just kind of like has a misconception of who she is. Anyway, we go to this conference in New Orleans. First, I'm staying at a hotel that I really enjoy. It's a chain hotel. It's one of my favorites. I get there. The room is beautiful, perfect, everything I could ever have wanted. Spacious. It's hot outside. The pool is jumping. It's like shaping up to be a really fun experience, right? Fast forward to a couple days later, my friend reached out and told me that she had a friend who was coming in who was in a wheelchair and wouldn't be able to get up the stairs to the place that she was staying in. Apparently, she was supposed to be accommodating this person. So she asked if I would basically give up my hotel room at the Ace Hotel so that she could be somewhere more accessible. Naturally, of course, I said yes, because it only makes sense, right? But there was something in the back of my mind that said, if she's staying here for free, why wouldn't she just offer to get her friend a hotel room, right? It just seemed a little bit off that she made the request of me in the way that she made it. I didn't offer. She literally requested this of me. Happy to do it, but still a little weird, right? So anyway, I agreed to essentially give up my hotel room and stay with her, my friend, at an apartment, a condo that was owned by an uncle, something like that. I moved maybe 8 or 10 blocks from where I was staying, and the minute I got to that condo, everything bad began to happen. I felt bad. Like, spiritually, I felt bad. I felt sick. We had made all these plans. We said we were going to go find a spiritual shop, get some things, get some cleansers, some candles, just some basic stuff to take back with us. Naturally, of course, along with this person, we're romanticizing New Orleans. Even though that's where she was from, we're romanticizing all of the spiritual assets that exist in New Orleans, right? And trying to figure out how we can tap into that energy so that extractively we can take it back with us. Now, you already know that's the wrong way to move. Anyway, we go to the shop. The minute we walk in, the mother of the shop was not fucking with me. For whatever reason, she hated my guts. She hated the way I was dressed. She hated the way I spoke. She dragged me. She was Haitian, and she dragged me for like 15, 20 minutes, telling me that in her country, if I dressed the way I was dressed, I would get raped. Like, truly came for my life. Now, I'm sensitive. I'm porous. I'm just figuring out this spiritual shit. For a spiritual leader to not fuck with me so hard made me feel so bad about myself. I felt like I didn't know who I was. Now my friend, on our way back to her house, is trying to drag me, like telling me that the woman was right, that she said all these things that I needed to listen to, blah, blah, blah. And she was older than me, so she was giving me all of this insight and being like, here's how you can be a better person, right? Long story short, as I'm staying with her, I wind up almost doing something really bad to her. She had been antagonizing me all night, bullying me. She tried to set me up with this guy and then tried to fuck the guy a couple hours later, just really like pushing me. Until finally I snapped and became a different person. A little bit of a violent person, a lot of bit of a violent person. And I didn't actually put my hands on her. Nothing happened, but I do recall calling my mother at maybe 1 or 2 in the morning and telling her that I was going to do something really bad to this person.
It's a little story time about the New Orleans trip I had this past weekend with my mom. It was overall a really good experience. We had a really fun time together. We always do, but wanted to tell you guys about something really scary that happened. And to all my ladies, I'm going to preface this with saying, please, please, please be careful and be super aware of your surroundings. So I know that New Orleans is known to be a little bit more dangerous, has a higher crime rate, but where my mom and I were staying was in downtown New Orleans. It felt very safe where we were at, but we decided the day that we got there to just like walk around the block, like nothing too crazy, not too far away from our hotel. And about like 5 to 10 minutes into our walk, my mom was like, let's go look at this restaurant's menu that was right beside us. It hadn't opened yet. There were really no restaurants open yet. It was before 5 o'clock on a Friday, which is a little weird. You would think that there would be more places open at that time. So when my mom was like, let's go look at this place's menu, I thought it was really weird because we had just eaten. And I asked her when we had, walked off to the side to look at this restaurant's menu, like, why are we looking at this? We just ate. And she was like, there are 2 men behind us that have been following us for the past couple of minutes. When we passed them initially, they were on the phone and they immediately started following us. They turned around and started walking very closely behind us. I didn't even notice. My mom is super hyper aware of these things, so she noticed pretty much right away. Again, they were on the phone. I don't know what they were planning on doing, but they were definitely following us. Because when we stopped at this restaurant, they stopped too and just kind of like waited beside us for no particular reason. Like nobody else was really around. So this restaurant, it's called Showbird, I think. Shout out to Showbird. Because we knocked on the door. Luckily, there was somebody like prepping to open for dinner in the restaurant. And I asked him like, hey, we think these guys are following us. Could we just come in here and hang out for a little bit? And they let us in. They were super, super kind and said that we could wait there until they leave, just however long we needed. So we walked in. The men did not see us walk in because they kind of like walked away for a little bit, but were still lingering around the area. And there was this corner that they were past where they couldn't see us go into the restaurant, if that makes sense. So they didn't see us go in there, but they eventually ended up turning back around and just leaving. Again, I don't know what they were planning on doing, but it was very scary. It's the closest I've ever come to somebody following me or potentially wanting to steal something, kidnap, whatever, just not good things, and it's very scary. So ladies, please, please, please always be aware. I hate that we have to live in a society like this, but always act as if you're being followed. I'm very grateful that God protected us and for this restaurant, Showbird, that let us into their vicinity before they were opening. Again, I know New Orleans is a little bit of a more dangerous city, but anywhere, anytime, please be safe.
When I was in New Orleans. So we went around 2018 time, and around that time, I'm not sure why, but it was supposedly the coldest it's ever been. It was my first time ever going to New Orleans. It's the only time I've ever been. I really want to go back, but for now, I'm gonna tell you the story about what happened to us when we stayed at one of the New Orleans Airbnb. So Airbnb was like a new thing. It was my very first time ever even using Airbnb. So we ended up going to New Orleans with one of my ex back in the days, 2018. We went there for like New Year's. Basically we went like the 30th, and then we didn't leave until the 10th of January. So we were there for a while, but we ended up staying at an Airbnb, and then we ended up getting another Airbnb. But let me tell you about the first Airbnb and my experience then, and that shit was crazy. So the Airbnb, I wanted the experience of being in New Orleans, so we stayed at one of those shotgun houses. I think all the houses over there are like shotgun. So basically a shotgun house is like one of those straight houses that are like just, long instead of like wide. You know what I mean? But the kind of houses they have in New Orleans. Anyways, so it has the typical decorations of New Orleans, all the things that you would know. And the house was basically, when you walk in, it's like the living room, which she turned into a bedroom. And that's the bedroom. That's where we were staying. And then somewhere else in the back, she has her own bedroom. But we shared the same bathroom with the lady. Sweet white lady. We stayed there. My boyfriend was white. That has nothing to do with the story. But anyways, so the house is decorated exactly how it's supposed to. They have all the little voodoo dolls and everything everywhere. She got fake candles lit and everything. I loved it. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to stay at a hotel for my first time. I want to stay at a regular house in New Orleans so I can have the whole experience. And we stayed right on French Quarters. It was beautiful. We ate, beautiful. But the first night, me and my ex were actually like doing it, in the room. But of course, her room was not too far away, and we do share one bathroom, and it's only one bathroom in the house. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. I'm not sure why, but the bathroom was very, very small, and it didn't have much space. But when I went in there, I ended up going to go to the bathroom after everything was done, and I was getting ready to take a shower because we were going out. It was about to be New Year's Eve. It was New Year's Eve waking up New Year's Day. So we take getting ready to go out, but it was one of those cold night, right? So I'm trying to figure out what kind of outfit I'm going to wear because I didn't realize it's going to be so cold because it's just not supposed to be this cold, right? So it just so happened to be so cold. They were even telling us, I think the lakes were frozen. We didn't even have like a lot of crawfish to eat because they just didn't have, they were short. It was like a shortage of crawfish. I don't know. But anyway, so I went to the bathroom. When I went to the bathroom, they said somebody was in the bathroom. So I'm like waiting to go to the bathroom because someone is in the bathroom. So I ended up going to the living room where my room was. It was like a living room turned into a bedroom. So I went in there and I told my man, I'm like, hey, I can't take a shower yet because someone is in the bathroom. So then he's like, okay, well, it's probably the owner of the house, obviously, because she lives in the house also. So then we ended up waiting. Maybe 30 minutes went by. Later on, an hour went by. So then the lady came out of her bedroom going to the bathroom. But we never saw her leave her because you could see it's literally there's no door. There's no door. So our room, it has a little things to block it. But she has like a little walkway where she literally has to pass by us to go to her bedroom. If someone is walking by the little thing that's blocking it, you can totally see someone walk by. I never saw anybody walk by to go to her bedroom. Now she's coming out of her bedroom to go back to the bathroom. So I was like, oh, that's weird. Because I'm pretty sure I saw her, and I had I had like one drink, but I wasn't drunk. You know what I mean? When you're drunk. And I wasn't drunk. I'm like, we're pre-gaming because we're going out. I didn't even had one of those grenades because it was the same night that we had just got in. So I had a drink. It wasn't like 2 or 3 drinks. It was just one drink. And the lady went from her bedroom to the bathroom. And I look at my boyfriend, and at the time we were actually waiting on a friend that lived in New Orleans. He was going to give us a tour of New Orleans. My boyfriend was basically paying him to give us a tour because he lived there for so long. He was working at like Folgers, the coffee, Folgers Coffee, I think it's called. But anyway, so we were waiting on him to come. So we had plenty of time to get ready. So we're sitting here an hour later, and this man is like, you have to get ready because I know it takes you forever to do your makeup and all that stuff, wig and all that stuff, right? He already knew me. He knew me already. So I'm like, well, I can't go. The lady's been in the bathroom, but the light is on. And as like you can see under the door, like somebody's walking back and forth. Somebody's walking back and forth. So I'm like waiting for her to get out of the bathroom. But the whole time the lady was in her room. There was nobody in the bathroom, but I'm pretty sure I saw a shadow in the bathroom. But anyway, so my boyfriend thought I was crazy by this time because he's thinking somebody was in the bathroom and we're waiting to go to the bathroom. Then we saw the lady. And so I'm like, did you see her go to her room? He didn't see her. I didn't see her. And then she just went out of her room to go to the bathroom. Then that's when we're all like questioning it. But of course, we're not going to ask the lady, because maybe somebody else is in the house, maybe one of her friends or something. So we didn't tell her. So then finally she finished the bathroom. She finished using the bathroom. So I ended up going to the bathroom to use the bathroom. And that's fine. Then we went out. Then when we came back from the party, I said maybe like 3 o'clock in the morning, we came back because it was really walking distance, but we ended up getting an Uber. Of course, we should have just walked because the Uber took us even longer than walking to get there, but it was so cold we had to just wait in an Uber, right? So we got to the house around 3 o'clock in the morning. I went to use the bathroom. That's when I realized the door is locked, right? So I'm like, okay, well, somebody's got to be in the bathroom. Maybe the lady came back early and blah, blah, blah. 4 o'clock in the morning, the owner of the house basically texted us and said, hey, did you guys get home safe? I'm going to end up, coming a little bit later or, early in the morning because I'm still out. So we're staying with her. She's messaging us, making sure that, because she already knew that it was our first time in New Orleans, right? So she's making sure that we got home safe and that she's going to be out still with her friends. And she's checking on us to make sure that we made it home safe. And I'm thinking this lady's in the bathroom. The door's locked, the light's on, and I feel like I saw a shadow of someone walking back and forth, pacing back and forth in the bathroom. And this whole freaking time, the lady is out with her friends, and there's nobody in the house. And of course, the next morning, well, earlier that morning, because it was like by then it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, we were going to go to our next Airbnb because we ended up staying with her just for one night. Because she only had one night available, so we had to Airbnb hop basically, right? So yeah, so we ended up going to the next house, and that's when I told my boyfriend, I had the second experience again when I saw that, because by then he was like, already like drunk, not necessarily drunk, but he was definitely passing out a little bit, you know, because his friend was already there by then. He met us at the club, and then he came back with us, and he's on the couch, my boyfriend is on the bed, I'm still up, you know, trying to get myself together, and that's when the lady texts us. And of course I was trying to go to the bathroom, but of course the bathroom was locked, and I'm thinking the lady was in the bathroom until I got a text saying that, hey, are you guys home, you know, I'm gonna be out a little bit later, da 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 da. The whole time I thought the lady was in the bathroom, and there was nobody in the bathroom. The light was still on. The shadow completely disappeared after I realized, what the fuck? Who the fuck is in the bathroom? But yeah, that's my creepy story. But I would still love to still visit New Orleans again because I love the vibe of it, and I'm not someone who gets easily scared. Because if I was, I would have been freaked out. I would have been like, look, I'm not staying at that house. And I saw that thing twice in that bathroom. So that bathroom is definitely cursed. That bathroom is definitely haunted. I think there's some sort of something in the bathroom. Maybe somebody must have been taken out in that bathroom, but there's definitely something in that bathroom. I don't remember the name of the place, but I do know it's somewhere on you know, on the quarters, French quarters. It's not like too far deep, like it's a little ways, it's like maybe a block away, but definitely like close enough to walk. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I love all things scary story. I love New Orleans. I do hope to go back soon. I was supposed to go this year, but something happened where I have other vacations planned, but I will definitely visit again because that's one of my ultimate favorite place, because I'm a seafood lover, and those drinks, those grenades, so good, so good. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.